This is my Dominican lawyer Aracelis who helped me buy my property. In this video, me and Leah are discussing ways you can find a good lawyer, a good builder, a good architecture, and a good engineer when you start building your property in the Dominican Republic. Please enjoy the interview and let me know what you think about what Leah had to say. So when it comes to the lawyer, for people to make sure they get the right person, tell us about that, choosing a lawyer.
For me, I use probably the largest law firm in town. They're certainly not the cheapest law firm in town, but I also believe what you get what you pay for. I have heard so many horror stories here about deals gone bad, and you just know that the lawyer involved was crooked. They had to have been in order for the deal to have gone the way it did. I also know here that you can earn a law degree on the weekends. So, I don't know.
Everybody's a lawyer.
Well, certainly everyone's a notary. But, so you do need to be careful. And, I paid, to do the builder's contract. So the builder came to me with the contract. The first thing I did was bring it to my lawyer, and we literally rewrote the entire contract because it was a bad contract. It wasn't just bad for me, but it was bad for the builder. He had somebody who had no knowledge of contracts either write it or use a contract from an old deal from somebody. I don't know where it came from, but it was pretty much garbage. And I think I ended up paying him $1,200 or $1,500 to get a contract that was going to protect me in this building. And I could have gotten that contract done for $300 for a fraction of the price.
Right. So you were overcharged.
Would the contract have been as good? Would the contract have protected me as much? Would the contract have given me a house finished in 5 months?
Interesting.
So
That's a record time.
I don't know if it's a record time. It's what he committed to. The day he signed the contract. And the other part of the contract was for every day over 5 months that he isn't finished, he owes me $100 US.
Nice.
So he is very motivated to be finished by September 3rd.
Wow. I like how you see, guys, did you hear that? You have to make sure you protect yourself in a country, because here people can build at their own time. They start with their work, but if you hold them to the fire, it helps eliminate all the headache.
There are a lot of issues here with time, and I can't speak to exactly what the problems were. I know a friend of mine, her and her husband just recently built a beautiful home up in the hills, and it cost them way more money than what they were promised and took way more time than what they were promised. And she had come here one day to visit me, and it was a busy day. It was the middle of the afternoon, and there had to have been 20 people here, just different trades, working different jobs. And she commented, she's like, "Oh, this is really a busy site here." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Every day is like this." She's like, "Oh." And I said, "Why?" She's like, "I've literally come onto my work site and people are sleeping." I'm like, "Oh yeah, there's no way." That guy that just walked by here, there's no way he would allow anybody to have ever been sleeping here. Not even on their lunch break would he have allowed them to take a nap here.
Wow, yeah. Sleeping on it, and the owner is coming by and people are just sleeping on, and she's paying. Oh my goodness. And
she said that happened a lot. She said that wasn't just one day I showed up and there was a person sleeping. No.
It happened a lot.
Yeah. So, when she said that to me, I'm like, "Oh." I'm like, "No, this is an absolutely different work site."
Right.
Absolutely different. He was professional from the day he started till literally the day he finishes in 2 weeks from now.
Wow, so you're very pleased with him.
Oh my God.
So
I'm thrilled with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's going fast because he has delegated certain stuff for different projects.
Well, you're using the word fast. He said to me, I said, I said to him, "You have as much time as you need to build these 2 buildings. How long is it going to take you?" He said, "It'll take me 5 months." I said, "Okay."
And it gets paid when it's done.
You have to finish in 5 months. I never said that.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was his schedule. That
Wow.
was his timeline.
Yeah.
That was his commitment
And
to me.
that's amazing. And he's delegating. So are they building the two buildings together at the same time? So some
Yes.
workers there, some workers here.
Yeah.
That's great.
They
Like
both went up at the same time, literally.
that's great because
Yeah.
I feel like some builders have them focus on one aspect.
Yeah, no. And he had like there was different here you don't hire like a group of people and they build a house. Here you hire the different trades. So you have like the guys that literally like this structure here. This is for bending rebar.
Okay.
So all of the ironwork, which there's only a little piece right here,
Okay.
but every single piece of iron here on the property that was used came in 20-foot lengths, and all the columns, all the floors, all the walls, all the floor and the ceiling, they had to make cages, and every single piece was bent by hand.
Wow.
So it was grandfather, a son, and a grandson who were that little work team. And they came, and whenever they were at the time of the project where they had to bend rebar, they would show up, and that's what they did. All of the headers, for instance, like above all the doors and windows, that's poured concrete. The walls and everything are block concrete, but the headers are poured. So you need to put in wood framing in order to pour that concrete. Well, you can see all that wood over there with the nails in it.
Yeah.
That's just the wood framing. And that's all. The only job that those guys do is they own that wood framing. They come into a project, they frame everything out, and then they remove all the wood and they carry on to the next house. So here projects are very specific, and you're hiring a team to do whatever the job you need at that moment in time of the build.
Right.
Yeah.
So before you pick a builder, what would you advise people to do in choosing a builder?
Finding a builder wasn't easy, and I can tell you it took me 2 years, and I actually had a year-long conversation and relationship with a builder. And I say relationship because I had him excuse me, like do up quotes, and we talked about planning and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I didn't use him. I went with somebody else. For me, finding the builder obviously was one of the most important things that I could do, especially because I'd heard so many horror stories from so many people here about their builds. So I also knew that I had to build on a budget. I didn't build with the budget that my girlfriend up in the hills built with. Like, she's built this beautiful home that, was more than $500,000.
Oh, wow.
Well, I don't have that budget, and I need to build 2 buildings. So for me, it was like, okay, how am I going to do that? Well, first of all, I need to hire a Dominican builder. I can't hire some European guy that's come here and opened up this fabulous office. I can't afford him. He might be great, but I can't afford him. But I also knew that building a block wall, whether it's in $1 million home or a $10,000 home, is the same block wall.
True.
And it's the same number of blocks, and it's the same amount of rebar, and it's the same number of bags of cement. So I knew that the finishes had a lot to do with my budget, but finding the right Dominican local person. I wanted to find someone that lived here, that was part of the community, because I knew that they would have a vested interest in the project. And I can't tell you the number of times my builder has said to me, Leah, your project is on a busy street. Every time somebody goes by your project, they know I'm the one building it. So that for him was very important. It was important that he put up a project here that visibly went up fast, went up professionally, and went up well, because all eyes were over here. If I was up in the mountains somewhere in some gated residence, nobody sees, nobody cares, but here it was different. And he was the one who said to me, because I'd be like, okay, well, let's do this to save money. He'd be like, no, I think we should do something that's a little bit nicer that, we can do for the same amount of money. So he was very good that way. But I think he has taken as much pride and care in this property as I have.
Okay.
And I think that came down to the fact that he's from here.
Right.
Like, he was born and raised here. His whole family's here.
So did you interview him first before you hire him? Or how
Oh,
did you?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And looked at projects that he had finished and was currently working on. Yeah, that was also very important. I made sure. There was another, it was a family member actually of Reno's. And I'd been into a couple of houses that he had built, and, you know, like 2 and 3 story homes. But only there as like a guest, and not there to like look at the house, like really, you know, like look at how it was built. So when I decided I was going to build and this person's name came up the next time I went to this relative's house, and I remember, like, the stairs, for instance, every single step was a different height and none of them were level.
Wow.
So, yeah, there was a 3-story house that had like 6 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms and a big kitchen, but it was a little bit screwed up.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't right. And I'm like, okay, I need to build on a budget, but not like that.
Right.
So, you know, looking at what people had built was really important.
That's really great.
And my dad was a builder by trade as well, so he also taught me enough about building that I knew what to look for. And I know the things that are more difficult in a house that take more skill. Anyone can build a block wall, but it takes skill to make it level, and it takes skill to make it straight. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So I knew what to look for to understand the skill level of the person that I was dealing with. The other thing too that I did was, before I hired him to build the house and the colmado, I hired him to build the wall.
Okay.
Separate project, and I did that first. And I did that for a lot of reasons. Before I make a massive commitment with this person, let's make a small commitment.
Right.
Let's see how we work together. Let's see if he lives up to his commitment. If he says, this is how much it's going to cost, and it doesn't cost me a penny more, and this is how long it's going to take. And he did. I mean, exactly what he said was going to happen was exactly what happened.
So you had separate contracts for him, one for the wall, and then once it's done with that, drop a no contract for the next building.
Yeah, so we did the wall actually last fall because I had a granddaughter born in January. So I knew I was going to be back in Canada for a couple of months. So I thought, you know what, we'll build the wall, I'll secure the property, I'll go back to Canada, get my grandbaby, and then I'll come back here and I'll build my house.
Interesting.
So that was why I did it the way I did it.
Right.
But hiring him to do the small project first, to me, and the other thing too that I also assured me that I had made the right decision is all of the crew people that he hired to do the wall were the same crews that came back and worked on the house. And they wouldn't have come back if he was a crappy boss,
right,
and he wasn't paying them properly.
That's true.
So I knew that he was correct and professional, not just to me as the person paying the bill, but also to the people working on site.
Right.
And for me, that was really important as well.
Right. I'm trying to understand, so the builder and the staff relationship, that's a builder as well?
Trades.
Okay, so the builder's job is just to manage the building process, that's also build.
He's a master, so just think of one guy as a master contractor. So he's just the one guy that hires the plumber, the electrician,
right,
the guy that does the wood, the guy that bends the rebar. So he's there every day supervising and making sure,
right,
and making sure that everything is done on the right schedule. Because there's no point in getting the wood guy if the rebar guy
right,
isn't finished his job. So it's also important that everything is timed properly, especially if you've made a commitment to the owner on time, on
right,
a certain amount of time.
And he evaluates the progress and the quality control.
Absolutely. And the fact that he was here every day.
Nice.
I think that the sites where there's people sleeping, I think you have a master contractor that isn't on site every day, that he's master contracting several sites.
You never have time to focus on your side.
Yeah, and my master contractor, he may have been building on other sites. I have no idea.
Right.
But I know that he was here enough that
it doesn't
everything got done the way it was supposed to get done.
Right.
And honestly, he's pretty much here anytime I'm here, and I'm here every day.
Right. So you just have to make sure that
if I was showing up here every day and I was never seeing him,
You'll be concerned.
I would be like, yeah, what's going on?
Right.
I would be for sure.
So you have to make sure you pick a master contractor who actually knows about
Yeah.
building, because anybody can say I'm a master contractor, but they
Here
don't
they're
know.
called a maestro.
Maestro. Oh,
Maestro.
okay.
Yeah.
So do the maestros always know what's going on, or they just
So he worked very closely with an engineer.
okay?
But that was included in his price. So the master contractor, the builder, he was I've only paid him. He's the only person I've paid.
Okay.
Everybody else he pays.
Like the engineers and stuff like that.
Everybody.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Interesting. So the engineer comes in to draw up the plan for you.
No, that's the architect.
The architect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the architect I hired before the builder. So I hired an architect and I had him draw up plans. Then once I had the plans, I went to look for a builder to build those plans.
Did you have to submit your plans to the county or to the government
Yes.
for approval first?
5 different apartments.
5.
Yes.
How long did the approval process take?
They didn't take that long. I think it was about, I want to say 90 days. It might have been.
Okay.
The Ministry of Tourism took the longest, and that might have been 120 days.
Oh,
So
okay.
not very long. And I wouldn't build before we had those approvals either. So even though I had title at that point, I still would not build something until I had my approvals. And again, there was a lot of builders here pushing people to start their projects pending approval, knowing, okay, you're going to get approval eventually, let's start the project. But what was happening was so many projects were getting out of hand, and we'd had a few accidents here in town, like walls collapsing.
Oh my goodness.
A French person had died. So the government just, they would show up at the work sites and say, let me see your approvals. And if you didn't have approvals, they shut down the site
When they shut down for good or just temporarily?
until you have approvals.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
now you've got a builder and they've hired all these crews, and now you say, okay, stop working for 60 days. I mean, they're going to go and find some other site to work on. You have no guarantee that you'd even get them back in 60 days.
Wow.
Like, it wouldn't, for me, it wasn't worth the risk of having the project stopped. Like, once he started, he needed to finish.
Right, without
And
any
there had to be
interruption.
nothing to stop in between.
Right.
So, and it, I mean, a lot of people here will start with partial approval. They'll have approval from one department, but maybe not the other department yet. And what'll happen is you'll get, the police showing up here, and they'll be like, oh, well, we'll look the other way if you pay us. So now you just open yourself up to circumstances where you're having to pay people off when
Right.
you don't need to.
Exactly.
I mean-
And that's more expenses out of your pockets. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got the architect to draw up the plan, got it approved in about 90 days. 120 days or 90 days?
So the total approval was about 120 days.
120
Yeah.
days total approval.
For all departments.
For
Yeah.
departments, 5 of them, and then once that was done, you brought in your builder
builder.
who had the engineer to do,
Yes.
and then they started
And
building.
the engineer, I mean, obviously his job is to look at like water levels, and if we're doing a 2-story building, your foundation has to be so deep. Like, they're following those types of structural
Right.
laws.
Speaking of structural laws, everything here is built with real bricks compared to, I guess, USA and Canada, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no wood construction here. There's no drywall.
Why is that? Is that by choice or just?
I think wood here, first of all, is very expensive. Most of the wood here is susceptible to termites. There's only one tree here where the wood is so hard that the termites don't eat it. So I just think for cost effectiveness, plus we're in, like a area of storms.
Right. So you need a solid.
I think having the block construction.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, I know it's time to drizzle.
Yeah, we should probably head out.
Yeah, and then I was gonna ask you, are you going? So how did the payment agreement work with your builder?
Oh, okay. So what I did, that's a good question. So I paid him, so the total payment to the builder for both buildings was $200,000. So he got half up front. And then when all of the electrical and plumbing was in, he got another $50,000. Then when I think, when all the doors and windows went in, he got 30,000. So that has already all happened. The last 20,000 is 10 days after I take possession.
10 days after. Why 10 days after?
Because that gives me 10 days to look for any defects.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
because he has to fix any defects.
Before he gets the rest of his money.
Yeah.
Interesting. So this house right now, we are August 20, what's it today's day? 23, and then it will be finished on September 3rd.
Yes.
And if it's not
weeks.
finished, every day is late $100.
Right.
Amazing. I really love how you did that.
Yeah.
Love how you did that. No, it's an amazing property, and thank you so much for answering all my questions,
Yeah, no problem.
helping
I'm
us
happy
all
to.
out, because it's a great learning lesson. And you guys, please check out Leah's channel, subscribe, send her any questions. I'm gonna put her email address here if you need any help. And also, any other advice you want to give to people out there considering investing in the Dominican Republic, whether it's buying land or property or building any?
I think don't jump into things. I think if you come here and a lot of people come here and fall in love and they want to buy the condo and they want to buy the land and they want to, live on a farm and grow their own food, and there's a lot of wonderful ideas here. But my recommendation is come here and rent what you think you're dreaming of, and see that first, and then start asking questions and start to meet people and learn contracts. Hola. And start to build your contact list. So really it comes down to talking to people and saying, okay, eventually I'm going to need a plumber and I'm going to need an electrician, and just asking other people, who did you use? Was it a good experience? Was it a bad experience? This is a small town.
Right. Okay, so the most important thing, guys, take your time. Rent, like Leah said, how long should they rent for? Like a good
year.
Rent for a year first, where you want to live, to learn the community, to also see if you're gonna like it. And Leah, this was a great interview. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
You really, really answered a lot of my questions. I learned a lot by just speaking to you, and I'm sure our viewers also learned a lot speaking to you. Guys, please, let's all appreciate Leah. Go to her channel. She has more videos on there where she goes into details. I've been really watch our videos. I'm like stalking her. I'm like, oh my gosh, she uploaded another video, and I'm just watching all of them because I'm interested in building property in Dominican Republic, and I think everybody should do their due diligence, research, learn from others' mistakes, so you don't have to repeat those mistakes.
That's right.
So thank you so much, Leah. God bless you.
welcome.
And I hope that when the house is complete, when I'm in Las Terrenas next time,
have to come
I'll
visit.
come back and do a post
Absolutely.
video. Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you, Leah.
Yeah, with furniture.
You with furniture. Be awesome. Thank you so much. All right, guys, that's the end of this video. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your comments below and let us know what you thought about what Leah had said, and if there's anything else you want to add to the discussion. As always, thanks for watching. God bless you, and see you in the next video.